there. There's a cop car there too.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here in front of Troy High School. Today is the 2nd of February, and we have another police car in front of the school here because it seems like another student threatened to do something to the school or threatened to do something to the students. Now, this is a year, exactly 1 year after a similar threat was presented. A year ago today, a group of students apparently, allegedly, conspired to try to shoot up this school. Now, yesterday there was a threat that was lodged against the school. We're not being told what the details are. The police are very sketchy. They're not telling us what's going on. But this is the question I have, folks. What's going on inside this place? Why are these students in such a state mentally that they are willing to either state or carry out acts of violence against the school, against fellow students, against the administration? Why? We want to know what's going on inside this school. We have been trying for years to get the school district to stop irradiating these students. A year ago, around Thanksgiving, they put in ruckus access points that are microwave transmitters that are designed to power 500 devices, and they put these things in each classroom. Every classroom in this school has an access point that is designed to power 500 devices. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what they put in a factory full of automated machines. And that's exactly what they've done in this school. Now, there is an epidemic of Adderall abuse in this school. Adderall is a stimulant drug that is being abused by these students. And I really wonder if these students are being abused by the staff. What the heck is going on inside this school? What the heck is going on inside these metal walls? Why are these children cracking? What drives these children to thoughts of suicide and mass murder? What drives these children to discuss such horrific, grisly, grotesque things? Why would anybody in the happiest time of their life, when their youth is full of joy and their future is as bright as the rising sun, would they be in such a state of mind of depression and misery? Why? What drives these kids to that? Is it because they're being electromagnetically disturbed? Are they being injured psychologically by the Common Core? Is there a reason why students are crying in the hallways after the tests? Is there a reason that the incoming freshmen are failing? Is there a reason why for the first time in this school's history, they actually had a special meeting and made arrangements for homework makeup because the kids were doing so bad from the incoming freshman class? I'm here to tell you folks that what we're seeing is a product of the Common Core education, which is ruining these children's minds, and a product of the microwave exposure, which is ruining these children's health, and a product of the screen time addiction, which is ruining these children's psyche and morality and sense of self-worth. The combination of what I have just mentioned is driving children to insanity, folks. And they're dealing with it with drugs and depression. That's how these kids are dealing with it. And you know what? The parents don't want to do anything about this. We've stood on this sidewalk for 5 years. We have put flyers on cars for 5 years about what the microwave emissions in these classrooms is doing to these students. Now, when they put these devices in, these access points, and they rolled out the Chromebooks, which are a joke, and anybody that is anybody in education knows that two-dimensional learning tools are a waste of money, and we know for a fact that these are actually a weapon. We asked to go in there and look around the school and take measurements of the radiation levels. And you want to know something? The school district refused to let me, a parent and taxpayer, in to measure the radiation levels. Now, I have a written confirmation from a Mark Breesy, some creepy-looking attorney from the school district, that says I am not allowed to go into the classrooms and inspect the classrooms and measure anything. But yet they force the kids to get locked inside this place all day, and it's so bad that we have a police car in front of this thing all the time. What is this, a prison? Well, there's a gate in front, it certainly looks like one, and it's run by psychotic liberals who run it like an institution, because it is an institution, folks. This school is a mind control institution. It is a mind control facility. This is where the children are indoctrinated with moral relativism, secular humanism, liberalism, atheism, and radical ideologies that are totally contrary to the founding principles of this nation and to the foundation of our society, which is the family. And I'll give you an example. Go look at the school newspaper and you'll see cross-dressers and gun control and forced vaccinations and questioning your own sexual identity. These are things that should not be being rammed down little kids' throats. Some of these children coming in here are 14 years old. They don't even understand these things. Yet they're being force-fed this, and when you come in here as a freshman, you have a tremendous need to fit in, so you're going to conform to what everybody's talking about and what everybody's thinking about. That is wrong. What is happening here is evil. And what is happening here, what is being done to these students is intentional. And the staff here is part of the agenda. Because you want to know something? The staff at this school has sold their souls for their comfort. That is what they've done. When I say that they've sold their souls for their comfort, that's exactly what I mean. You see, there are many issues going on here at this school that are immoral. The least of which is the Common Core. The biggest immorality taking place here is the atheism that's being taught to these children. The lies of the scientism that is taught to these children. The reason these children have no self-worth is because they're being told they are animals and they are not created in the image of God. They are told that they are evolutionary accidents and only the fittest will survive, and only the fittest and the most good-looking and the brightest have worth. As a mind control delivery bus just passes us. You cannot teach young human beings that they are an accident, that they are related to animals, and that their self-worth is based on a test score and how popular they are. This system turns people with left brains and right brains into left-brained people. This system is designed to train children to be servile minions and lackeys and cowards and agents of the state. This is a preparation facility to create students that are going to go into medicine, to create forced vaccinations, to create drugs, to create more eugenics programs, to get into the legal system, to enforce it all, to get into the systems of government that lock it all down and create this two-tier class of people that don't know what's going on and people that are so totally evil that there's no way to bridge that gap, and that's why we have such totalitarianism in our society. We have people that can't think and people that think so much they've lost their minds. Back to the issue why we're here. What is going on inside this facility? And why won't they let us in? Why won't they let a tax-paying parent who had a child here inside the facility to find out what the levels of electromagnetic emissions are inside these classrooms with metal walls? Why is that? These children are being electrocuted in here, folks. They are being mind controlled. They are being pushed to the brink of snapping with the curriculum that is all about maintaining test scores and status for these teachers. It has nothing to do with what's good for these children. I mean, if it was all about the kids, after all, they would be allowing us to go in there and accurately and objectively assess the microwave levels and the threat to the children. They wouldn't be selling energy drinks, and they wouldn't be teaching these kids all these lies. Instead, they double down, they put it all on Chromebooks so you can't preview the curriculum anymore, and they throw their taxpayer-funded attorneys at us that say we can't come in. And then, when I submit a public records request under the California Public Records Act for specific information about the weaponry that's been deployed in these classrooms inside these metal walls, specifically What is the power level that's being emitted from these access points? The specific power level from each antenna and the specific facts of what these kids are being exposed to. You know what they tell me? We've already told you that it complies with the FCC guidelines. Now, the FCC guidelines are designed to prevent from cooking tissue. Now, they don't want to give me that information because I can tell you right now that as soon as they do, I can produce the studies that will show that based on the effective radiated power coming out of the weaponry in here, that they are physically harming children, because there are studies that are in existence that show thermal and non-thermal effects for microwave emissions at the frequency and the power levels that are being emitted in these classrooms. And when you couple that inside metal walls, you have a recipe for disaster. Ladies and gentlemen, Troy High School needs to be shut down. Troy High School has a bunch of students that don't even live in the district. This school, as I've written, has been created to be a gravy train for the teachers union. The Fullerton taxpayers are funding this school. We now have 2 bond measures on our property tax to pay for the improvements in the maintenance and operation of this facility, when half the kids here don't even live in the district. And what's happening is these children are being drawn in from large distances. Some of these kids are being drove in from Corona, from some of these other outerlying areas where these kids have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and they got 0 periods. And they're up till 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning doing their homework. These children are being sleep deprived. These children are being harmed. These children are being physically harmed by the hazards inside here, the pink fluorescent lighting, the metal walls, the microwave emissions, the terrible, terrible, terrible air quality in this place, and the sleep deprivation that comes from the excessive homework and from the long commutes. And these parents think it's okay to push these kids and to pink back these kids and to push these kids over the edge just to get into a college and to get a degree and to find out that there's no jobs for them. Because that's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. We're entering into a new realm of humanity's existence where human beings do not have the value they once had. And the automation is taking over. And these jobs that these children think they're killing themselves for don't exist. These jobs that these teachers and the administration believe they're training these kids for don't exist. The only thing that does exist is a desire to keep the test scores up at this school that are rapidly declining. The only thing that does exist is a real and imminent threat to the health of these children by the microwave levels that are 10 to 15,000 times higher than you're going to find in your home. I've sent someone in here with a camera, and I've got the video with the detector, folks. And these microwave levels inside these metal walls are 10 to 15,000 times the levels in your house. That's a fact, and I have proof of that. Scientific research clearly indicates that your body is an electrical being, and microwaves are radio frequency emissions, and they have electromagnetic properties. Ladies and gentlemen, basic physics, basic chemistry, basic biology, electron spin pairing. You have interaction with the quantum orbital properties of molecules when you irradiate them with radio frequency emissions. That's why the studies and the research show morphological changes in cellular structures such as the smooth endoplasmic reticulum from subthermal power levels that are being deployed in these classrooms. And that's from the military's own research. The military has studied microwaves for decades. Microwaves are a weapon. Why did they put microwave systems in this school? It's a weaponry. Why do they call it a deployment of the access points? Because deployment is a military term for weaponry. Everything is in place to harm these children, to mind control these children, to make these children subservient to the state, to turn them into two-dimensional list-verifying, rote repetition minions that don't question things. They just look them up. And when you don't think outside the box and you don't question things, And when you allow yourself to be force-fed the lies of the communism, the Marxism, the atheism, the moral relativism, the perversion, and all of these agendas that are being taught to these children in these schools, that is a recipe for a nation headed back to slavery. And we're already there with the economic situation we find ourselves in. But now these children are starting to show symptoms of what is being done to them. These children are cracking. They're hurting. They're reaching out for help. And you know what the school will do? They'll call the police. And whoever made that statement, I don't condone what they said, but now our life is ruined. And why won't they release the details of what she said? If it's such a serious threat, why is it not public? Why are we not aware of what the nature of the threat was and what the details of the threat was? Why is that? Is it because she's a minor? We're not asking for her picture. We're asking for what she said. And we're asking for what's really going on here. But they won't tell us. They won't let us in to measure the microwaves. They won't tell us what the threat is. All they do is send the cops over here to find out who they can put in the can. I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call the police on Will Monster, the principal here. Mr. Munster, what's his name? Minster? Minster, whatever his name is, the guy's a monster. I think that's his name. He needs to be put in jail because he is microwaving these students. And, you know, his childish games by, aiming a laser beam at me out there, trying to get my eyeballs when I'm out here holding the banner in the morning, that's not funny. That's actually illegal. Coming right out of his office. I got witnesses that were there with me. They saw where it came from. It came right from his office. He needs to be arrested. And I think maybe what we ought to do is we ought to file charges against the school district for child abuse on multiple levels. Physical and emotional and intellectual child abuse. Because these children are being harmed. And they're doing it with your tax dollars. They're doing it with our money. And you know what, folks? The worst thing about all of this is for 5 years we've been trying to stop this, and they're doing it with all your permission. This is Joe Imbriano, folks. We'll be back. There's a lot more to this. And I pray to God in Jesus' name that no one gets hurt here from these threats that are being levied against these school district officials and these staff members and even these fellow students. My intention is for what is best for these students, and that is to treat them like human beings and don't hurt them. But instead what this school does is it treats them like animals, cages them up, corrals them, numbers them, brainwashes them, pushes them over the edge, and then when anything goes wrong, they call in the zookeeper and they show up in a black and white. That is wrong, folks. These children were created in the image of God, and they're in harm's way here. We aim to stop that with every legal means humanly possible. Thank you.
Wait. We need to figure out what